Yeah, thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for giving me the space. I really appreciate it.
Holy smokes, your camera is so clear, and it's got that bokeh effect. I love it.
Yeah, using the EOS R as my webcam with a nifty 50 at 2.8.
How in the world did you do that?
The EOS R, so Canon is great. They have a built-in app on the computer. You just get the app and it works as a webcam. No extra thing needed other than a USB-C cable. You just set it manually. So I set mine to 23 frames per, or 24 frames per second, 50 shutter speed, and then 2.8 to kind of get that bokeh.
Yeah,
And then there you go.
it's pretty cool with 2.8. You can get that because 1.4 is what I do, and I'm like, that can get annoying at times, right? Because it gets that
Yeah.
blurriness around here. Yeah, it's nice.
I've tried 1.8 because that's as low as this guy can go. But if I move any, like it's gone.
Oh, okay.
So 2.8 just gives me a little forgiveness when I'm moving around and stuff.
Yeah, nice. How's life been for you?
It's a roller coaster. Life's always an up and down, but lately a lot of wins and things are really trending upwards. So I'm excited.
Nice. Now, what do you do for a full-time job right now, Stephen?
As a full-time job, I work in, I guess, IT, the kind of blue collar side of it.
Yep.
So getting infrastructure up to the house, stuff like that,
Nice.
and then all that kind of stuff. So yeah,
all that fun stuff.
all that fun jazz in minus 40 sometimes, right?
Yeah, you know what? I actually like wearing headphones now with it. I can hear better. I can understand you. Yeah, it's because usually I'm kind of like, what are they saying? And I try to make up of it. But yeah, this is nice.
The nice thing too is with headphones, you'll get less echo in like the post audio.
Interesting. We'll have to see if I actually got less echo. You know, I overcomplicated myself. I got all this infrastructure with, these interfaces and whatnot. And I'm like, why did I get that? I should have just done a plug and play, and we would have been good.
Hey, when you get passionate about something, you get passionate about something.
And then you're like, oh, I'll learn it. And then, here and there, YouTube, right?
Yeah, YouTube, the University of YouTube.
Yeah. How is your Friday night? What are you getting up to?
I have this, and then I'm just probably hanging out with my wife and dog. Thinking maybe a movie night or something.
Yeah. I'm just going to be hanging out with my dog.
Yeah. What type of dog do you have?
A French bulldog.
Oh, yeah, those are cute.
And my sister got a husky. Did you see? I don't know if you saw the picture of that little cute husky. Yeah.
Yeah, that's adorable.
I know, 8 weeks old. I love dogs. I love all animals.
Well, dogs are just special, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you've got an interesting story, man. And thank you for, following and supporting me through this journey. It started in mid-January, so still early in it all.
Yeah, pretty early. But, I mean, you got some solid guests and you're doing solid work. So, I mean, absolutely. It's a pleasure to support.
I seriously can't get over your clarity right now. Holy smokes. This is like the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Do you shoot with Canon?
I'm a Sony guy.
Sony? You look into it. Maybe Sony has something like this.
I should. And you just plug into your computer and
just USB-C, man.
This is like professionally done. It's because you can tell with like this webcam on my laptop, it's it's like old school, isn't it? It's like the 90s.
Yeah. So there's I do this because then I don't have to worry about it in post. I know people who will they'll use their webcam on their laptop and then they'll have a camera filming and then post edit that in.
Well,
is that what you're doing?
I can't figure out. I'm trying my hardest to get the time limiter off on the Sony A7 III.
Yeah.
Because 30 minutes and then it pauses. So I had to get I got two, decent camcorders that I use right now. And they just let you.
The Canon does that too. That's where the webcam thing, it bypasses that. So it'll stay on for hours like this.
Huh. I should really look into it.
Then make sure to get a dummy battery if you're planning on doing Joe Rogan style podcast, those, if you ever do something like that, long.
Well, dude, there's some of them are an hour and 45 minutes, and I'm like, holy smokes.
Something 3 hours. It's nuts.
Okay. Do you like to listen to Joe Rogan podcasts at times?
I like listening when I like the guests. So I filter through when I'm like, oh, hey, it's a neuroscientist. I'm going to click in on that, or like some biologist or whatever. But if it's some MMA fighter, I'm not overly interested. I do like the passion they have for it. And once in a while I'll still tune in. Because you always learn something from listening to anybody. You can always learn something from anyone, right?
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but time management, like there's so many podcasts. Like I want to support your podcast. I want to support my other friends. Like I'm on Clubhouse doing that thing. So, I mean, content is, you can only consume so much.
I know. And then also live your life, right? So,
Yeah. Get out of the matrix.
Exactly. I mean, how's Clubhouse been for you? Are you enjoying it?
I am thoroughly enjoying it because I found a community of people I actually just jive with. So that's been really nice. It's given me one or two connections, but it's not like, I think it's going to slowly kind of die down a little bit as things go down, and Twitter has Twitter Spaces open up, and Instagram has their thing going on. So
Do you feel
it
like
is worth it though. If you want an invite, I can give you one.
No, I have it. I just have no idea how to. I mean, I was like, oh, should I start now inviting people onto a different platform, or will it exhaust people?
I think what I would do if I was doing podcasts in Clubhouse, I would, like, if you have like a roadcaster or something, you can input audio in. I would export audio from your computer using the headphone jack into the roadcaster. The roadcaster then would go into the phone. You could go live on Clubhouse with your interview while still doing the podcast in post-production form as well. I've seen
cool.
a couple people do that.
One day you're gonna have to come over and just help me play around with everything, because I'm still. It's just me, man. I'm just trying to do it, So day by day.
I get it. I totally get it.
And
there's a lot to learn, and it's a lot of work.
Well, but it's fun. It's exciting. I love this stuff. Do you still use TikTok?
I have it. I post when I have something to post, but I am not like a TikTok poster user. I find it hard to be consistent with reels and TikToks. Photos is easy. I go out on a road trip and you get like 300 photos, right? Yeah. But
honestly, even these Instagram reels, they're like blowing up, and you get thousands of views on these reels. And I'm like, how the hell do I create a cool reel that's interesting? And I think a lot of them just do it in post-production, right? That's what they're doing.
Yeah,
you can do a reel. Yeah, you can do a reel live, but it doesn't look the same.
Yeah, the benefit to TikTok is that authenticity and not a lot of post-production seems to do just as well as post-production. Instagram is all about the production. You got to have good edits, good everything to do well.
Yeah. What did you think about Dax's podcast? Did you like it?
Yeah. It was awesome. Something he said about his editing style and his process to it really resonated with me, and it actually got me changing things up a lot. And you'll actually notice, like, from the date that podcast was released, my editing changed, which is kind of cool. So yeah, that's a thing that podcast inspired me to kind of change my style up too.
Okay. What exactly was your style before? And then when you listened to the podcast, what did you find that you needed to change in your style?
What my style was before, I was often lifting the blacks, trying to getting that. I concentrated a lot on texture, a lot on color, but the colors were very flat. They weren't the same as to the eye. Dax said that he likes to make the photos like how he sees them. And that's something that kind of resonated with me. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I see the world in a very colorful way. Maybe I should keep the contrast and have natural contrast in the photo, and just really work on my color grading of the photo and making sure it comes out the way that it is, right?
You use Lightroom or Photoshop primarily?
I just use Lightroom. I've never
Same.
used Photoshop on any of my Instagram photos, only on client photos when they want something fancy, but I'm not a big fan of Photoshop.
No, I'm with you. Do you use presets quite a bit of presets or create your own?
Uh, I'll like create a preset for a shoot. So like say I did a product shoot and I have like the recent one I had 7 products, 2 angles each, so 14 photos. All the same lighting, all the same app, like everything the same. Yeah, I'll make a preset for that shoot, run them all through, and then I usually delete the preset. I'm I I'm not a huge fan of just like relying on
No.
presets.
Yeah, I'm with you. Do you like so when I use contrast versus the black bar where it's like black white, what is really the difference? I still can't figure it out what I'm doing.
Yeah, so the contrast, I don't touch the contrast slider much. Occasionally I'll bump it a little either way.
Yeah.
I like to use the curve, like the tone curve, in order to really dial my contrast in, because it's like you just like I start with 5 points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, kind of tweak, and then be like, oh wait, something's not quite right. Make a point in between 2 and 3, make a point between 4 and 5, and kind of dial it in there. I do the tone curve first, and then I go to the editing. So
Interesting. Okay.
bring the highlights all the way down on almost all my photography. I'm bad for that.
Mm-hmm. Do you try to shoot ISO 100 usually?
I keep it under 1,000, but with modern day cameras, there's not much noise.
You can just keep it on auto at times. Yeah.
Most of the times, yeah. I the only reason I don't is just because I do like that control, I guess.
Yeah, it's that manual.
Yeah. I shoot aperture variable if I'm like, just on the fly, like my dog.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot manually do a lot when they're running around quick. So yeah, I'll switch like aperture variable, but I'm a big fan of manual.
Yeah. But I just love the way you take these photos, especially recently with your dog. It looks like he's with me right there.
Yeah.
And there's this gloss to it. Is that the contrast that or is that those are the curves? Because it looks kind of glossy in a way, the picture. It looks beautiful.
Yeah, so that was taken with the 24-70. I took it at f4, I believe, which is you still get some bokeh, but you get a lot more forgiveness.
Yeah.
And the main thing, yeah, I mess with tone curves, and then I actually changed the white balance in that one. So I kicked up the warmth a lot because it was a very kind of cool looking day. Before I did that, the photos were meh. Once I kicked up the warmth, they actually turned out pretty okay. I was stoked with them.
It. So tell me this, Stephen, how did you get into photography and where did this passion come from?
Surprisingly, it links to my autism. Because I like growing up, I was into music. That was my thing. I released 2 records around 18, 19 under one band. And the first song I ever wrote was like, it was about my cousin passing away. And that just is what got me into creativity. It was an outlet for like, it was an outlet to get those flashbacks out of my head. I just kept having those flashbacks of that event. So by writing that song, it got that out. And then I just kind of continued with that music, and we had a multimedia arts class in high school. So that's where I got first exposed to photography. They gave us Rebel T1Is, which are pretty okay. They're like 15 megapixels. And great entry level camera, honestly. And I ended up picking one up for like $400 one day just to start off. But I loved the class. I loved photography. I loved macro photography, and I loved landscape photography. Those were my two, like, if I can rent the macro lens, because there's only one, I was like, I'd hog it. It's mine. And so that kind of got me into it, but I never could afford a DSLR. I ended up, after high school, I just stuck with my phone because music's expensive. Like, if you're buying guitars, you can't buy cameras or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward, I mean, you get a better paying job, you get adult money to play with. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? Phone photography is fun, but I can tell the difference. So I walked into a store in Canmore and there was these metal prints on the wall that were just huge, like ginormous metal prints.
Right.
And I fell in love. I was like, man, I want to make that. I'm like, so how do you make this? It's like, well, your megapixel does matter when you start blowing things up this size and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, well, dive into the research and end up buying a Canon EOS R because 30 megapixels, it did everything I needed for almost everything I did. And at the time I already had a Blackmagic pocket cinema camera for my video.
Dude, how are those cameras? Were they worth getting?
I highly recommend,
Yeah.
like, honestly, if I could afford a Canon cinema camera, I would have a Canon cinema camera, but I cannot afford the Canon cinema camera. So the Blackmagic uses Canon glass. It's the next best thing. The colors are great. It's 6K. It does the job.
No, of course. Yeah. That's sweet. And I mean, growing up, did you know you had autism, or how does this, for the people that don't know, like myself, how did you find out that you were diagnosed with autism?
I knew I was different in school because I mean, I was very much an outcast.
Mhm.
I also used to be like 300, like I was like 200 pounds in like high school. Like I was a big kid. I'm 5'6", so that's really obese. And the biggest I was 280. So like I had a bunch of stuff kind of masking it that we didn't really know about. When I lost the weight, food was a big anxiety coping mechanism for me, right? So I wasn't able to do what's called masking as much. In the autistic community, masking is just acting. That's all it is. Like I had to study how to act like a normal person, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I practice that, but it can be a bit exhausting at times. And so there's social fatigue involved and a lot of anxiety and other comorbidities surrounding it.
How did you find the courage to, I mean, doing this podcast and whatnot, does this still bring anxiety to you in life?
This podcast, no, no, the most anything creative and artistic never really did. Like when I was in a band, I could play in front of thousands, never have
Okay.
a problem.
That was your escape.
Yeah. And with photography too, it's like, and video or whatever, like if people enjoy it, awesome. That's a purpose. That's something to strive for, right? Like,
Yep.
to have stuff I create recognized is a really nice feeling. And photography. So when I got diagnosed, I got diagnosed late in life. So I didn't know I was autistic. I did know something was different about me. I had a lot of social problems growing up. But it wasn't until I got married when we're in a relationship long term. And right before we got married, we're like, yeah, you know what? Something's different about me. I'm not a normal person. My wife loves me anyways, and obviously married me. But in that process, we went to get a professional diagnosis. And in that diagnosis, I learned that I had strengths I didn't know I had. I honestly thought I was stupid. I thought I couldn't read well because the lines kind of jumble for me. I thought I was dumb because I was getting C's in school, whatever else. But really, it was just I needed accommodation. I learned differently, and I learned I was not dumb.
No, yeah, exactly. It's you were gifted and you were normal. I think, oftentimes we do that to ourselves, don't we? That self-sabotage.
Yeah. So, in that, I was like, I wanted to get creative again. In getting diagnosed, I found that part of myself again. And it kind of led to me going, I bought the iPhone 11 Pro
Oh,
and
nice.
thought, hey, this will be perfect for photography. Like it'll do just what I need for video and photos. And I'm like, no, no, no bokeh, no, like no, I want the real thing.
Even with portrait mode.
Even with I can tell
Yeah.
digital bokeh.
Hmm. There's a difference. Yeah.
There is, yeah. So yeah, ended up really diving into it, and with autism, you get this hyper focus that is insane. It, my poor wife, because I'll just focus into photography for hours and just not talk, and it is what it is. But it's my special interest. It's something I you get we latch onto these things that we just love, and you soak it all up.
Do you prefer listening to a podcast or watching a podcast?
I usually listen,
Yeah.
and that's because I'm multitasking oftentimes. Like I'll
Okay.
listen to a podcast while I'm doing a product shoot,
Yeah.
but watching is a nice thing to have because like I really like the Spotify setup of I can listen to it in my pocket, and then if I hear Joe Rogan be like, "Hey, oh yeah, check out this dope picture," I can pull it out, pop up in the video, and see the video, right?
Mm.
Or the photo. So yeah.
I think he's the only one right now on Spotify with the video.
Maybe.
I don't know. That's the only one I've listened to, but I don't know if that's going to be the next thing. They're going to try and compete with YouTube on that.
I like video podcasts for the sake of I need something in order to keep me focused. So that's the perfect way to edit photos.
Yeah. No music? Do you listen to music when you're editing photos?
uh Music is something I treasure it. So I don't want to get burnt out on music because with autism I have some comorbidities with ADHD as well, which is like a dopamine issue. And music can really play off that. So I know if I listen to too much of it, I'll start to not like it, and I get into this weird funk. So I use music very sparingly, if that makes sense. I love it. I love it so much, but I love it because I use it sparingly, and I use podcasts to fill that void of content.
Oh, absolutely. When you were growing up, what did you do to keep yourself busy? So you went into music. Was there a lot of bullying when you were growing up?
Yeah. I I mean, it's that standard. I think Hollywood depicts it well. The nerdy kid who, wants to be the cool kid or whatever.
Yeah.
Tried a lot of things, went through a lot of phases. But I mean, never really, I never found acceptance in my own city or town. I'll say that much.
And are you from Calgary originally? Or?
Airdrie, so just north.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I identify as a Calgarian.
No, that's awesome. I love one of the photos that you took. It's the McDougall Memorial Church, former, but I think they're rebuilding it now.
That is the rebuild, actually. I know, right?
What?
I went there really recently with that photo. It was November 2nd. It was still under construction, and I had to use a telescopic lens because I wasn't allowed on the property. But when we were driving by, we saw the sun peaking to where it was in that church, and we're like, we got to pull over. We have to get this.
And that's a beautiful shot. I was like, holy smokes, they did a great job then.
Yeah, it looks great. And I love that. Yeah, because that photo is kind of the first one that kind of took off. So that was kind of cool.
Is it for sale?
I do have it for sale. Yeah, I have. I do custom order prints. I tried a print shop, print to fulfill, that kind of thing. But I just, it's not my style. So it's custom order. If someone emails me, goes to my website and emails me, they could get a print. Yeah.
You're not going to go out of your way to have a bunch at home, and yeah, it's
No,
expensive too.
I have a couple 8x10s of it, just to hang around. But yeah, it is expensive. Yeah, it's like $40 to print like that.
Yeah. Oh man. Now that church, did you see what it became before the rebuild? It was so sad.
I heard the story. I I haven't seen pictures of it burnt
No.
down. I just heard the story, and yeah, it is heartbreaking
Mhm.
that like the fact that we don't have a lot of old cool buildings in Canada. We don't.
Nope. Do you love photography, or videography, or has it always just been photography for you?
Um, I well, photography has always been there. Photos, at the very least, smartphone photography. Like I pump up, DSLRs, mirrorless. Like,
Yeah.
yo, I love my Canon. I love it. But at the same time, phone photography, if that's what you got. These phones are insane and they do such good photos. Like, enjoy it. Go get a manual app and learn it. But like videography was kind of that next step. It was like, photography is hard. Videography is way harder. And when you get into like, it's just like learning the 180 rules and kind of trying to remember all these little nuances to film, that we just kind of ingrained in our culture. It's important, and it's why I love it.
Hmm. No, it's always challenging. And one day when the weather's nice, we should go out and just shoot around downtown and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm always down for collaborative shoots. We can do like some portraits of you downtown, you shooting and stuff and
Yeah.
whatnot. Like, it'd be
I'll do
cool.
some video stuff and that'll be fun. I love videography. It's just my jam. Learning it. Yeah.
I love shooting it. I don't love editing it.
Oh, that's true. It is difficult. Yeah. Do you have people that you look at on YouTube or someone that you've learned from?
um, I,
Some
I,
mentors?
yeah. So Justin Wu has been a huge encouragement for me. He's a portrait photographer, fashion photographer, just a great artist and director. And he's been helping me out here and there with some advice um, but mostly I've learned through trial and error and
Mhm.
the occasional, like the two YouTubers that I kind of like. I really liked Frono's Photo because of his honesty. He like, if he didn't like a product, he'd be like, "No, I don't like this product," and I'm like, "That's the type of guy I want to follow." Um, and I enjoy Peter McKinnon's style and story. So those are kind of the ones I kind of learned the
Yeah.
most from on YouTube, I'd say.
Now, what do you mean style and story of Peter McKinnon?
Um, he makes everything seem epic and cinematic. So just like, and like being able to tell a story. So being able to be like, he is telling that story of the bucket shot. He's like, yeah, I bought this ticket, went out to Calgary, got this shot, like whatever.
Yeah.
And like, I'm there like shedding a tear because I'm like, I'm relating to it. I'm like,
Hmm.
yeah, like I as a landscape photographer want to go out there and I want to get that bucket shot kind of thing. Right.
Yeah.
So being able to just tap into the audience's emotions, like that, and in a way that he also, yeah, he does good B-roll. He does good everything. I like his minimalist style, but at the same time, it's epic. He does a good job with it. That's for sure.
No, absolutely. So I love this style that I'm trying to emulate in photography. I just can't figure it out. It's Becky and Chris. Have you heard of them?
I have heard of them. I have not seen much of their
No, I'll
photography,
send
to
it
be
to you after.
honest.
It's
Yeah,
just dark. It's a very dark, moody look.
the moody look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can only do so much of it too, right? Yeah. And then I love the colors. So I struggle. And then just like I'm sure yourself, you struggle. Do you struggle with your feed at times? Or have you realized to just do what you want to do and
My
don't work?
Instagram feed.
Yeah. Or did you at one point in time?
Okay, so Instagram feed, that's something that I'm changing currently. So I did struggle. I archived a bunch of stuff. A lot of my stuff's not on Instagram anymore because I kept the iPhone photos because they're iPhone photos. Like, no one's gonna critique that.
No.
But my old crappy work, I took that all down.
Yeah.
But I like posting in threes. I like it to kind of look clean, but that really restricts creativity. And something Chris Howe recently said
Yes.
was, yeah, like Instagram's restricting his creativity like that. Like, oh yeah, dope picture of a mountain, get a lot of likes. That's great. Got a few follows, but is that the most creative work you've ever made? And then that's really challenged me. So This upcoming month, I'm going to be trying a lot more abstract photography and weird stuff to just be creative. And if people don't like it, that sucks. But
You did it for you. Yeah.
I did it for me.
Mhm. We oftentimes forget that's why we do what we do. It's for our own happiness, but we rely on the likes a lot, and that sometimes is a reality.
Yeah, kind of. It's I don't like that likes and follows and
Mm-hmm.
influence matters. I don't like that. But
Nope.
unfortunately, when trying to get clients, it does matter.
Yeah. When you got your first client, what was that feeling like? All those years of you playing with the camera or months playing with the camera and you get that first client, what was it like?
Oh, you want to pay for this? Dope. um, it was really cool.
Yeah.
First client was it was actually a friend who started a business. And I just at first I reached out. I'm like, hey, can I have some of your product? I just want to like build my portfolio with it. And great. Like, yeah, he's like, yeah, here you go. And that's Hasty Coffee. So now I actually partner with them very closely and do a lot of their photography work because they were just with me at the beginning and then they watched me grow and then they ended up starting to hire me. Right. So yeah, that's kind of my journey with them and through them and through their referrals, I've gotten other work as well. And I cannot thank them enough for getting me started, really.
No, of course. It's fun. It's exciting. Is there places you want to go this summer or spring in Alberta to capture?
There's so many places I need to go. Like the problem is I want to go to a bunch of places and I want to go to a bunch of places multiple times and multiple times. Like
Mm,
I really love Paul's photography as well. You interviewed him and
yes.
that was a great one too. Oh
Yeah.
man, that's awesome.
He's a wonderful human being. Yes.
He's so good. Yeah, the mountain goat, the greatest of all time.
Yes, that's him.
But yeah, I love his work, and that's something I want to give a good try at is light painting. So I just bought a pocket light. I'm going to give that some try. I'm going to do it in the warm weather, and then I'll try it again in the winter.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Is that the saber or little light?
I just got like it's called the Falcon Eye F7.
Okay.
It was half the price of Aperture. That's the reason I bought it. And it does the same thing.
Perfect. Yeah.
So it's great. And I did a little bit of light painting. It didn't turn out very good. It's on that like random page with all my dogs, dog photos. But yeah, I want to get good at it. It's that challenge. I like the challenge.
It's pretty cool when they take I don't know if it's a light or what they do, but they spin it around really quickly.
Yeah.
What is it? Is it a fire or is that a chain? What are they using when they do that?
I'm not sure what he's doing with that one. I'm wondering if it's maybe his camera with the red light on it, but that'd be really scary.
Yeah.
Could be drones too.
Yeah.
I know that they fly with drones.
Oh, yeah.
They go with drones and stuff too. So
Yeah, there's some really artistic people out there with the light paintings. I know there's a couple and she stands still and he goes around her and does some really, it's like with a wand. Oh,
yeah,
so pretty.
I want to get one of those ones too. They're amazing. Yeah.
What about just like a lightsaber?
A lightsaber? If it did multicolors, I think that'd be great. What I like about the LEDs is that if you can soften it up, you can always like throw like a diffuser on it and get rid of the LED look, but you can't always sharpen up lights. So what I like about LEDs is that when you take all the diffusers off, you get a bunch of little individual lights that you can make a bunch of lines with long exposure.
Okay.
You can't really do that with like fluorescent per se, or incandescent.
Was that a cat?
Yeah, it was a cat.
She's like, Dad, talk to me.
Yeah, that's our roommate's cat actually.
Aww, so cute. So are you still in Airdrie or are you guys in Calgary now?
Yeah, I still in Airdrie. Ended up buying a house here because that whole put your mind to something, you get it done. I bought a house at 23, got it done, and
Dude,
Just
good
trying
for
to.
you, man. Good for you. You should be proud of yourself.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now I'm just trying to pay it off before I'm 35.
Done. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
28.
Okay. In Airdrie, do you go around to the prairies? Are you a big fan of the prairies and taking prairie shots or not really?
I have some. They're they're just not as epic. Like so, when I was a kid, I always wanted to live in the Rocky Mountains. Like my mom worked in Lake Louise,
Yeah.
and like she told me all these stories. And ever since I was a kid, like we didn't get to travel. We didn't make a lot of money. My parents started their own business, and it didn't take off till later in life. But they're doing well now. But at the same time, yeah, at the time we didn't get to travel. The mountains were travel, and every time I go there, it does bring back, that special feeling. So,
Home away from home.
I like the prairies, but it's not the mountains.
No, I'm with you. Paul lives a great life out there, doesn't he?
I'm so jealous of him and his crew. I am so jealous of him and his crew.
So in Alberta, is there certain people you really admire? I mean, you're really excited about Dax and Paul. Who else has inspired you in Alberta?
I'd have to pull. Is it okay if I pull?
Oh yeah,
real quick, just because I know the photographers, but I know them by their Instagram handles like a dummy. One is Jonathan Zootman.
Oh yes, he's amazing, and he's actually a wonderful human being.
Yeah, he is. He's very kind. See another one.
I used to know him from the University of Calgary back in the day. He was older than me, but he was always just such a nice man. Yeah. I actually bumped into him last year and I was like, John, he was actually taking photos in Inglewood. So he's awesome.
Now he's a Canon ambassador.
Yeah.
And living the good life.
You Canon folks. I think even Dax is a Canon guy. Yeah.
Yeah. He's it's a cult brand, but I'm a Canon fanboy. What can I say?
You know what? Once you know it, right? People are like, Zach, you should go to Canon or Nikon. I'm like, guys, I've started with video and Sony. I'm just going to stick there. And you start buying lenses and you don't want to get adapters and whatnot. So.
You get enfranchised. Yeah. Once you're in, you're in. It goes back to that high school shooting on a Rebel T1i. Like that's what I learned manual photography on. So when I picked up the Sony A7 III in store, when I was buying, they're like the camera store was like, hey, get Sony, trust me, get Sony. I'm like, okay, let me try it out. I'm like, this is bunk, the screen doesn't flip out. But
very true. Yeah,
there's a few things like that, but I just took a photo with the Canon, did side by side, and then price comparison, it was like $1,000 less to go with Canon to get the same megapixels, same specs. It all made sense to just go Canon, and the support I've gotten from the Canon community too, like the fact that these Canon ambassadors are kind enough to like or comment on things, or Canon Canada, them following me on Instagram blew my mind. I wasn't expecting that. So like there's like the Canon community is just super fun and like super collaborative. It's fun that I get to reach out to these people and be like, hey, you want to do a shoot? And they're like, yeah, let's do it.
For the listeners, what exactly is the Canon community about?
The Canon community. There's a lot of artists supporting artists, which I like. Like I'm always going in and like trying to find the Canon Canada hashtag and like liking people's stuff and be like, hey, like great shot, like constructive criticism, stuff like that, making sure it's constructive and wanted to. Like not everybody wants criticism, so like if someone's like, hey, how does this look, like I go to people and I'll be like, hey, how would you change this edit? I'm actually asking for criticism. I want to know how I can get better and change that edit. It's all subjective at the end of the day, but I mean, I still want to learn. But the fact that I've never been left on red by the like most Canon, like the Canon ambassadors, they don't leave me on red. They support me. They everybody in that whole system seems to support one another. And then you got the CPS program too. Like that was a huge benefit. So
So what is a CPS? What does that stand for?
CPS, Canon Professional Services.
Okay.
So for myself, I own the EOS R. I own a crap ton of L lenses, and I own the 5D Mark III, which is a like 8-year-old camera, but it's still a professional camera.
Yeah, great camera. Yeah.
And because I own 2 cameras and some lenses, I qualify for the CPS program. CPS program, if my camera ever needs service, they send me a camera for loaner, no cost. I get to have my camera while they're servicing my camera. That's a huge benefit because I've had to do that before, and it sucks to go without a camera, right? Other benefits, I can test drive stuff. So like, I can rent, or like they'll give me anything for like a weekend trip, and they'll give it to you a couple times so you can really try it out. So I got to rent the like 100 to 500 lens, and just like that's a $4,000 lens that they're just like, hey, here, try it, have fun, like go play with it. And it's like, yeah, sweet. Like I can rent their cinema cameras. I can you get discounts on services. You get a little card in the mail that gives you VIP access to some stuff.
That's super cool, man. Holy,
yeah.
When you shoot landscape, have you tried like a 12 millimeter?
I have not. The widest lens I have is a 16. I'm interested in looking into the 8 to 12 fisheye just for some cool effects.
Yeah.
And a tilt shift. I'm really interested in a tilt shift.
Super cool. Peter McKinnon, I think he did something with a tilt shift, and just how you can make everything look micro.
Yeah. There's so much creativity that can be done with the tilt shift lens that if it's one of those, like, I'm not a Canon ambassador. I don't get, like, I may get some discount, or like I don't even know if I get discounts honestly with the CPS thing.
Yeah.
I think I just get like I get the first rights to buy or something like that. But like if I could afford it, I would love to just, have one of every lens in like an R5. But
that's like, how much is that lens? That's like 5,000, 4,000.
The tilt lens.
Yeah. That's up there.
They're nuts. There's so many more moving parts and engineering that goes into it. In sense, but I cannot afford them.
No, rent one for the day and just have fun. Yeah.
I might do that.
Yeah. Now, is your wife a big supporter of what you do?
Yeah,
And how does that work? Because, as a couple.
Yeah. So the hyper focus thing, lots of people can relate to that, especially in the creative fields. That I had that before photography and videography. So when we were dating, I was with my Magic cards. I don't know if you see Magic, like I'm a nerd.
I love that, man.
It's all bokeh out, but
is that framed? Did you frame them?
Yeah, that's a framed foil sheet of Magic cards.
And you made that?
No, it's uncut. They sent it to me in the mail.
I love it. Yeah, that's pretty.
But I was always like focused into something, and I'm really bad for focusing on things over people. She knows though that with my diagnosis, she can be like, "Hey, I need attention," like, and I know to give that to her. Or also, like, she has her own things too. Like, she's really she does her unique business where she tries, like, she sells her makeup and live streams and does all that. And that keeps her super busy to the point where, like, if I don't have anything on the go, she's so busy that I'm like, man, I got to get busy because, like, I'm just lonely. So we both are like, our successes are each other's successes in our own given field continues to encourage one another to continue to succeed.
No, that's a beautiful duo. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Have you helped her out with your photography and whatnot in her business?
Here and there.
Yeah.
A lot of her stuff she's doing herself, and that's great. We just upgraded her phone because she had the iPhone 7 and it was okay. It did pretty good actually. Some of our vlogs on YouTube, because we try to vlog all of our landscape trips.
I love that. What's your YouTube channel?
It's Steven and Dizzy.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Yeah, it's we just like, it just kind of gives story to some of the photos, and that way it's hard to fake video. That way people can be like, no, this isn't Photoshop. This is actually what it looked like. Which is cool. But yeah, I've helped her out here and there, but yeah, we just upgraded her phone to the iPhone 12, and that thing does iPhone 12 Pro Max. It's so good. It's
I'm at 10. I'm at 11 now.
Yeah, I have the 11 Pro, and it's.
Would this be the 11 with the 2 on the back?
I think so. Yeah, the 11.
Yeah.
If I did it all over again, I'd probably get the 11 over the 11 Pro. I never use the telescopic lens on this thing.
No, it just seems a little. It's just a gimmick that I don't know if you. You know what? When you have a DSLR, you just say, no, it's not the real thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
But a phone comes in so handy. And did you ever use Snapseed or any of the free apps back in the day?
I just downloaded Snapseed. Up until Lightroom, I've always just edited in Instagram, actually.
Interesting. Okay.
Instagram's editing.
It's not bad, man. No, it's.
I want to, put it down like, oh, it's Instagram. It does an all right job.
Yeah. You know what? I'll edit something and I'll still go back into Instagram and tweak things, contrast and structure and sharpen. Yeah.
Yeah, their highlight, like when you really want to get rid of those highlights, especially with snow, because like snow, sometimes I'll have to put it through Lightroom twice. Yeah, you just like down the highlights, throw it in Instagram, down the highlights. That's how I got that bird shot.
I love it. Yeah.
It was overexposed.
The blackbird, right?
Yeah.
It's like opening its mouth, I think.
Yeah, they were doing mating calls. It's mating season.
Now, have you thought about getting into portrait photography or no? I'm
open to it. I'm really trying to niche into. I love doing behind the scenes. So if we want to collaborate, that's something like I can come on out and take behind the scenes. If you do it a podcast, you doing a photo shoot, you doing video. That's what I love doing. That's something I just enjoy doing. So that's something I want to do for like all the people, like the other people I look up to as well or whatever. It's like, hey, can I come learn from you? Can I just come do behind the scenes? Like, this is my portfolio. I do an all right job. Can I give you this in exchange for mentorship? So that's something I've been kind of doing in order to get some connections and learn from others. But when it comes to portraits, I really like, I have my at-home studio. I can do the plain white, plain black. But if I'm going to do them, I'm kind of interested in like the creative, like nuts doesn't like, I don't know. There's some of these people that are like, I see their portraits and it's like, it's just so creative. I can't even get over it. That's what I'm interested in if I'm going to be doing portraits. So I'd love to do like artists, like music videos, yes, but like musicians, stuff like that, who were wanting a like dope branding shot that was like super creative, like lights weird, all that kind of jazz and props and whatnot. That would be more my style. The plain white and black, quick, easy to do. Not really my thing.
So when we look at Becky and Chris right now, if I pull it up.
Yeah, let me pull them up real quick so I can see what they're talking about.
Yeah, here we go.
I know that they're big. Yeah, 127,000. Whoo.
Yeah, they've been growing, but they've got this dark look. And it's got this, like, if you move your phone like side to side, almost like kind of like this. Like when you move it like this, you see a gloss on their page. Do you see that glossiness? I always call it the black makes everything look glossy. Is that contrast or is that blacking it out? That's what I was.
Okay, so they're lifting their blacks a little in the curve on all of these photos. It looks like they don't crush their blacks.
Oh, they don't crush them.
They're not crushing them. Those aren't super black. And it's kind of weird because in some of them they are. In this one here with the helicopter, this one's crushed. But a lot of them aren't. And it's kind of a counterintuitive thing where black, when you raise it up a little bit, it kind of gives a more even tone towards everything, which gives it that glossy, almost film look, right?
And that's not contrast itself, eh? That's what that is. Okay.
It is in a sense messing with the contrast, if in terminology sense. But when you're playing on the editing thing, you're messing with the curve for that. Like that doesn't look like it's overly contrast. Like they're not messing with the contrast slider too much. Maybe a bit of post vignetting. Looks like they add some like highlight brush strokes here and there to kind of get that light look.
But they really tone down their saturation, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And that's another one of those, like, there's the oversaturated look, and I think a lot of beginner photographers kind of fall into that right away.
Oh yes.
And then I went the exact opposite, and I did something kind of like not like this, but I started washing out my colors because it's the opposite. And then eventually you just kind of dance all over the spectrum because every photo deserves a different edit. Obviously, if you're trying to target your Instagram feed, which is smart, it's not always fun, but it's smart. Keeping it consistent to one editing style is great, but it's not fun.
No. It gets boring because then like Chris Howe said, you get stuck in that.
Yeah, I think Chris is actually becoming my favorite of the like influencers on YouTube. Like I started off liking Peter McKinnon a lot, like a ton. I still really, really like him. He's a Canon boy, cheering for him all the way. But Chris's videos are so real and like he's honest, and I like his, like, you know, every time a product comes out, you get that YouTube. You got like everybody doing the same video, and like his are like, no, let's do a skit instead. Like I really like that he just does it different.
Yeah. Did you ever enjoy Casey Neistat?
I hear so much good about him. Haven't watched a video yet. I'm gonna have to.
Yeah. And who's the other guy? Oh, who's Peter McKinnon's protege? Maddie
Warner?
Nope. Maddie. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. I've watched a lot of Maddie. I like him. His financial advice, stuff like that's really good.
Yeah.
It's so nice if you can just get behind the scenes. That's what I love about like photographers who post behind the scenes, even if they're just stories. It's just so helpful.
When you were younger, did you ever like wait for the movie set and you could watch the bloopers and all that, the behind the scenes?
Yeah. I still do that.
It's so fun. I love it. Yeah. Cool, man. Well, let's get together soon and we'll go shoot and have fun.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure meeting you, and thanks so much for agreeing to have me on. Like it's an honor.
Thanks, Steven. All right, we'll chat soon. And say hi to Izzy for me. I'm going to actually watch this on the couch with my dog here while I eat my dinner.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Like every interaction, I think, counts when you're a small channel. That's
yeah. And I think that's what more people need to do is be there for one another, especially instead of...
Yeah. And that goes back when you were asking me about like photographers and videographers I watched. Like I was hesitant because I did watch, you know, the big dogs a lot, but I've recently toned back to try to put all that time into people with under 10,000 subscribers. And I was intentionally doing that because they need the support the most. That, you know, Peter McKinnon doesn't need the support. I love him. I love his work.
Oh yeah.
He doesn't need the support.
No, he's got what, 5-6 million now followers or subscribers.
Whereas, you know, small, like the people who are just coming up, they need the support the most, and I might not be much, but I'm something.
I miss going out, and I think now more than ever, that's what kind of the reason I started the podcast. It gets lonely.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. That's why I ended up on Clubhouse.
That's awesome. We all have a reason for what we do, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
All right, Steven.
Yeah, it's good talking to you. Nice meeting you.
Nice to chat.
Talk later.